To start our monochromatic landscape paintings, we need to first draw some layers of mountains that are overlapping on our paper. We can start with the front space, creating a mountain summit. Then we can start adding more layers of mountains in the intermediate space. 1, 2, 3. And then we can work on some mountains that are in the background. 2, 3, 4. And I don't want you to make more than 6 mountains. So here I have my foreground or my front space, middle space, and my back space. Make sure you leave some room for your sky. Next, what you're going to do is consider the values that you're going to be needing to create for your tints and shades. Here's our value scale, 1 being pure white, 10 being pure black. Now we are going to create some atmospheric perspective, so our mountains in the back are going to be the lightest, and as the mountains get closer, they're going to get darker. So we don't want to start with our furthest away mountain as 1 pure white. We want to go at least a 2. So we can label that a level 2, and then we can increase our values as the mountains come forward. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, I'm going to let you know right now a level 5 you should have on your paper, and the level 5 is going to be your pure color, also known as a hue. Hue. Now, before we paint on top of our landscape papers, it's very important that we try to lighten up our pencil lines. You don't want to erase it so that you cannot read it at all, but we need to get a little bit of that pencil graphite off of our papers, even your mountains. I know that we tend to press really hard when we draw, and that's something we need to practice, is practicing drawing lightly. But with the dark pencil lines, your paint is going to be not able to cover up the pencil lines. So it's important that we try to erase and lighten up those pencil lines. There. So you can still see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my mountainscapes. We can still see it, but it's a lot lighter, which is good. Now, you need to, boom, get a palette of paint with black, red, and white. We're going to start with the lightest mountain in the background. This light mountain, you're going to start at a level 2. We're not going to start with a level 1, pure white. We're going to go with a 2. So to this level 2, we're going to add 2 drops, you could say, of our pure color. So go ahead and dip your brush in the red, and you're going to add 1 and a 2. And then you're just going to mix it in. Being careful to not splish splash that paint around. But you can see that now I have a level 2 red, which is, yes, this tint of red is pink. Then you're going to go ahead and paint that back mountain. You kind of want to do your best job to stay inside, right next to your pencil lines. But there is my level 2 mountain. That is the mountain that is furthest away. Now, with our next mountain, it's going to be a level 3, which means we're going to add 1 more drop of red. Scoop it in and mix. Make sure you have thoroughly mixed your tint. Boom. And there's my level 3. Zoop. You know what? it's not that different. It's a little different. I'm going to add a little bit more red because I want to have an obvious difference between my levels of tints. So let's go ahead and see if that extra little bit of red, that added a little bit more to it. That's just called some problem solving. There. Now for the next level, we're going to add a little bit more red. Remember that level 5 is going to be the pure color. So let's go ahead and mix in the level 4. Another tint of red, not as light as the 2 or the 3. Still pretty similar, but there is enough of a difference between my levels that I am happy with that. There's definitely a difference between the level 2 and the level 4, isn't there? We're also getting some nice texture from this paint on our paper, which is nice. All right, so remember, any mountains that are a level 5 value, you're going to go with a pure color. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush. Make sure you wash it really well. Dab it on the sponge. Make sure you get any of that tint off because we want just the pure color. So I'm going to dip it in the pure value and then level 5. Lay it on. Now, when it's a pure color, sometimes it can be a little bit thin, and you might be able to see your 5 if you have not erased it enough. But don't worry, we can, once this red dries, we can paint another layer of red on top of it. When you go right up next to your other tint, be very careful. You don't want to mix the tint into the red because we want this level 5 to stay a level 5. So you notice how I went nice and slow. I didn't mix into it. Just want to go right up next to it. Here we go, getting that level 5 pure color in. Now the fun begins with the shades. So level 6 is a little darker, which means we're going to add a little bit of black to our red. Mixing it right up, keeping that paint on our palettes, and mixing it as well as we can before diving in. Again, remember, you want to keep your tints out of your shades, so be mindful. You want to go right up next to, but not into, your tints. Here we go. I loaded up my brush so that I can just swoosh right next to, boom, my other colors. If you see any large puddles of paint, go ahead and push them around with your brush. There. Nice and even. Now we've got a level 7. It's a little darker. We're going to dive into our black, mix it in. This should be much darker than your level 6. Not quite black, but definitely not red. This is a nice shade of red. And again, you're going to make sure that you are going right up next to, but don't mix your colors. What I like to do is dip, load my brush up with a lot of paint, not too much that it dribbles, and then I'm just going to take that loaded brush and go right up next to. You have to be slow and controlled when you're doing this part, when you're going right up next to your wet layers. Ideally, you would just wait till your paint dries, but we are going to practice, and we are going to do our very best to go slow and controlled when we're painting right up next to our wet spots. All right, boys and girls, so this is our tints and shades for our monochromatic landscapes. I cannot wait to see how they turn out.